Assalamualaikum and hi, my name is Nofara Aina binti Nur Azman and my metric number is 273422. I am going to present the effects of COVID-19 pandemic towards micro, small and medium enterprise. As we know, COVID-19 pandemic has been spreading all around the world since the end of 2019. The first case was found in Wuhan province, China. As the virus become more serious, most government has set up a certain precaution to prevent for this virus from spreading. The precautions include movement control order, which is MCO, where people were asked to stay and work from home. This precaution has placed a huge burden on companies, especially micro, small and medium enterprises. The government played an important role to determine and issuing policies to build the best infrastructure that supports industrial development, especially MSMEs. However, even large-scale economic stimulus packages have been announced. The economic impacts of the pandemic spread rapidly over the whole world. The government tried its best to help each of the MSMEs, but each of them require different needs. So, they need to think about the best way that could help all the enterprises. During the total lockdown and pandemic period, nearly all MSME merchants incurred losses owing to lack of consumers as a result of business closure and restriction on public mobility. As mentioned earlier, many governments have started providing financial and other forms of support to micro, small and medium-sized enterprises. The financial support include instant availability of subsidies, streamlined procedures for obtaining them, and no barriers quick resolution of cash flow problems through GST refunds and short-term low-interest loan to both major cooperation and MSMEs without the need for collateral. MSMEs also transforming to digitalization as adopting digital technology can reduce the cost for business. As people often use their mobile phone during the pandemic, it is the best for them to use digitalization to expand their business scope. There are many platforms that they can use to do online business, such as Instagram, Shopee, and Lazada, and many more. This platform is convenient for them as they does not require any website to advertise their business. As for the immigrant worker, the enterprise need to protect the labor by providing special transportation for them to make it easier for them to return to work. The company also needs medical coverage for the employees as a precaution to face the pandemic, and they need to assure the workers that if they become ill, the expense of their hospitalization would be paid. Now, I will explain about the effects of COVID-19 pandemic towards micro, small and medium enterprise, MSMEs. The first effect is of course facing loss. As the COVID-19 pandemic restricts the movement of people, it will of course halt the company activities. The company unable to operate their business as usual because they have to stay home due to movement control order. Not only that, the company must invest more money on masks, gloves and sanitizer to protect their employee like the SOPs ask them to do. Other than that, most of the enterprise experiencing cash shortage, which was clearly indicated that they doesn't have enough capital. Other sector also experiencing difficulties during the pandemic. It is hard for the MSME to apply for a loan as they are not sure if they could repay the loan. The next effect of COVID-19 pandemic towards MSMEs is unemployment. As mentioned earlier, most of the enterprises are facing loss, so they have to reduce the number of employees to reduce the cost of paying their salary. Other than that, the enterprises need to send the immigrant worker back to their country. so they do not have enough workers to operate their enterprises. The next effect of COVID-19 pandemic is lack of transportation. As the government set up the movement control order, it is harder for the enterprise to get their supply. During the movement control order, no one should be able to hit the road as they have to pay fine if they do so. The next effect is one of the most obvious effect to the enterprise, which is less of demand. As most people lose their job during the pandemic, the purchasing power also decrease. People don't have enough money to buy groceries and other stuff as well. As for the diners, people are afraid to dine in because of the perspective of the danger of COVID-19. So, when people choose to stay home and cook for themselves, diners and restaurants has to shut down their business. When there are less demand, there are too many unsold inventories for the enterprises and diners have to lower their menu option. As most people are struggling to survive in the pandemic, sometimes they have to cancel the booking of goods, cancel the travel plan including the flight tickets. So, this is a big problem for the enterprises as they fully rely on their business, especially in tourism industry. As there are less demand, of course, there are less supply. The enterprise has the struggle to survive as they are short of raw material. As mentioned earlier, it will be difficult for the transportation company to transport the goods to other locations. So, it is hard for the enterprise to get their raw materials. Not only that, the resources are limited as well due to hardship to find the supply during the movement control order. When the resources are limited, of course, the price of the supply will be increased as well. As the enterprise are facing loss and they have to cut off some costs, they have the difficulty to get the pricey supply. The last effect of COVID-19 pandemic towards micro, small and medium enterprise is hard to operate. With a stricter SOPs set up by the government, the enterprise have to comply with it. If they fail to do so, they have to pay the fine. Some of the enterprises are not suitable to do on online platform as it will be harder for them to survive. The SOP set up by the government mentioned that the businesses have to limit their customers, especially restaurant and diners. So, they have to keep up the social distance with each other. By doing this, the enterprise and businesses has less customer than they usually have. They also have to check the temperature of each customer and provide sanitization facilities. The temperature check is quite pricey, so it will be difficult for the micro, small and enterprise to provide them. Next, we will proceed to policy approaches that the government can use to assist MSMEs. The first approach is protection of employees and information accuracy. In order to do this, they have to pay attention to employee health as it is dangerous for another employee if one of them has been infected by COVID-19. Not only that, the government also needs to ensure that the people got a precise data regarding to the COVID-19 news. This is necessary as it can help to reduce the spread of fake news. If one of the news spread to social media where the government cannot control, they have to verify the source of information. It is particularly important for businesses to communicate authentic and reliable information to relevant stakeholders as soon as possible in order to prevent any ambiguity. To be effective in the face of a crisis, different levels of a company's organization must communicate effectively and quickly in order to grasp the current situation. Other than that, customers should be given clear and timely information about the status of their local businesses, such as when business hours, what days and times employee will be on site, or whether they can place order online. the employees and the customer also need to know about the company's health and safety policies. By doing this, it can reduce the uncertainty and distrust in all sectors of society and business, including the workplace. It is because a reduction in consumer spending and business investment will lead to a slowdown and impede recovery because of a leak in confidence. The next approach that the government can apply to assist MSMEs is boost economy. The government can try to allow the enterprise to continue operating, especially the micro, small, and medium enterprise, as they rely solely on their business. They also can focus on providing online ordering service, such as Foodpanda and GrabFood. Other than that, residential services like mechanics or plumbing is important during the pandemic, as people always stay home. Other than that, the MSMEs can try to use online banking to conduct their commercial transaction without having to make personal contact. There is a need to provide various incentives to customers in addition to lowering online fund transfer fees to encourage local individuals and companies to utilize online banking. As a result, transaction expenses of the business will be able to reduce while the transaction process simultaneously speeds up. Next, income and employment support for MSMEs is also one of the aspects that the government can assist the MSMEs. Granting loan to these enterprises could be considered by the government to confront the growing issue. For payment affordability, such loans might be issued at low interest rates and provided with long-term payback terms. Furthermore, the credit ceiling available to MSMEs should be increased. The new possibilities for MSMEs to get additional borrowings at a cheaper interest rates may raise optimism for these enterprises' survival in the face of continued economic problems. Furthermore, loan payback periods might be extended to alleviate the load. With the technological advance, employees can work from home and avoid personal touch. By doing this, the enterprise can reduce the cost of electricity and administration. It also can reduce the spread of the disease among the employees. Plus, MSME should adopt one of the important tactics, which are cooperation to mitigate the impact of COVID-19 pandemic on their enterprises. They should help each other to survive, especially in terms of capital. Other than that, employees' association also play a critical role in enforcing government regulations and preventing economic losses. The employee association can help by raising the knowledge of the workers in terms of their health and safety. And lastly, planning and resilience capability is also important for them to survive in the pandemic. It is important for them to plan thoroughly and learn from their mistakes. Early planning is necessary, especially in strategic management decisions, as it can help to assist in dealing with uncertain situations like the COVID-19 pandemic. Besides that, they can build resilience capacity. As a result of the uncertainty and complexity of the circumstances, pre-planning may not be sufficient. The issue requires constant monitoring and timely responses from business. Thus, the company must be able to recover from setbacks. And lastly is to cultivate excellent employee relations to boost resilience in crisis. Good employee relations are fundamental to a firm's success in a crisis. Positive social interaction, trust, and caring for employees help boost productivity and recover from catastrophes. In conclusion, it is obvious that almost all sectors are having difficulty during the pandemic, especially MSMEs, as they have to suffer the effect of the pandemic, such as facing loss, unemployment, lack of transportation, less demand, less supply, and the difficulty to operate their business. With the suggestion mentioned earlier, the government needs to play their role to help the MSMEs. Not only that, the MSMEs also need to plan on handling their business, especially to face another uncertainty like pandemic in the future. That's all from me. Thank you.